I call this meeting of the Hurst-Euless-Bedford Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Good evening to everyone. It's great to see such a huge crowd for a work session, but we know you're not here to see us, so that's good. All right, but we do have a little bit of business to take care of first before we bring out the top 10. We're going to start off by administering the oath of office to our newest school board member for place 4, Miss Becky Ewert. And I'd like to invite Miss Whitney up to administer the oath of office.
Feels a little like a wedding.
I, Becky Ewert, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of school trustee of the state of Texas and will do to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God.
Welcome to the big table, Becky.
Thank you.
Tonight, the Board of Trustees is meeting in a called work session board meeting. The board welcomes and appreciates comments and input from the community. Open forum is provided at each meeting to allow the public to address the board. There will be 2 open forums tonight. Open forum number 1 is to hear requests regarding agenda items only. Open forum number 2 is to hear requests or make comments regarding non-agenda items and will be heard at the end of the meeting. Those addressing the board are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes per meeting. The speaker should identify his or her name, group affiliation if any, and make a brief presentation with an identified solution if one is sought. Remarks should be addressed to the board as a whole. Oral presentations may not include charges against any employee or board member by name. It is my responsibility to determine if the person addressing the board has attempted to resolve a concern informally or through the district's complaint policies. If not, the speaker will be directed to follow the appropriate policy. The board requests that all presentations be made in a courteous, respectful, and professional manner and asks that speakers monitor their own behavior. If you wish to speak during one of the open forums, please fill out one of the cards located on the table in the entry hall. Dr. Harrington, any comments?
Just a couple comments on activities. Activities continue full bore, and lots of fine art activities again this week. But one thing I did want to point out, HEB Reads is Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. It has become one of our biggest events of the season, and we do invite everybody to come out and join us for HEB Reads. Every student leaves with a book. It's just one of our favorite events. There will be several thousand people who will attend. So 10 o'clock Saturday at Pennington Field parking lot.
Any clarifications?
None at this time.
All right, now we're ready to do what you all came here for. We'll turn it over to Ms. Forrest to introduce the top 10 students from LD Bell and Trinity High Schools.
All right, thank you. Good evening. It is my pleasure to present to you our top 10 graduates from both Trinity High School and LD Bell High School. These students have worked tirelessly throughout their educational careers to be the best of the best, and we are so proud of them and their accomplishments. We know they all have very bright futures ahead of them. Students are already here, wonderful. So we will start with the top 10 at Trinity High School. Nope, okay. We will start with the top 10 in reverse order from Bell High School. Number 10, Ashlyn Lorenz.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna have you all line up in a half circle here as you're done.
Yeah, we're gonna do a group
And-
picture at the end, so.
And parents,
make sure
please
y'all
don't be
stay
shy.
over
If you want to get a picture, please hop into the
Absolutely, come up.
aisle
This is your
and-
time
and
to
take a
shine.
picture.
Number 9, Abanoob Rostam. Number 8, Nicole Duong. Number 7, Hasham Syed. Number 6, Joshua Gaiman. Number 5, Kate Eads. Number 4, Caitlin Tejan. Number 3, Nana Humpau. Number 2, Hannah Robin. And number 1, Chloe Harmon. And please help us congratulate the entire top 10 of LD Bell one more time.
Mr. Belcher and Dr. Harrington. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
Okay, and don't run off, LA Bell Top 10. All right. We want you to flip around and look at the board for a second. Yeah, this is one of our traditions. We like to get a good look at the top 10, and we like to go down the line and have each of you tell us what your plans are for after graduation. So,
Right down here?
yeah.
I'm going to Howard King University. I'm going to
Yeah.
I'm going to UT Austin to study biochemistry.
I went to Baylor to study psychology.
Boston University to study chemistry. I'm going to Concordia University, Texas, to play basketball. I'm going to Rice University to study biology and public health.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to MIT to study mechanical engineering and bioengineering. I'm going to Harvard to study econ and environmental science.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you, LD Bell. Okay, and now we're going to do the top 10 graduates from Trinity High School. At number 10, Krish Koirala. Number 9, Sophia Carlson. Number 8, Natalie Gall. Number 7, Isuna Busal. Number 6, Sagar Lamichane. Number 5, Valerie Reyes. Number 4, Sydney Hawkins. Number 3, Pratik Chetri. Number 2, Matthew Boyd. And number 1, Mary McComb. And please, one more round of applause for these top 10 grads from Trinity.
Sorry, hi everyone, smile. Mia is not shy. This is what it's like when you're
All right, Trinity top 10, please turn around and face the board. All right, we'd like to hear what each of you have planned for after graduation. We'll start down there.
So I'm going to UTG to study computer science.
I'm going to UT Austin to study international relations.
I'm doing the same thing, but also hoping to double major in international business.
I'm going to UTA to do nursing.
I'm going to UTD or Michigan to do computer science.
Good.
I'm going to Texas Running to do nursing. I'm going to the University of Tulsa to do chemical engineering.
I'm going to UTD for computer science. I'm going to the University of Oklahoma for bio and pre-med track.
I'm going to Harvard for environmental science and health.
Yeah, from the board, we'd just like to express how proud we are of these students. We understand what a difficult job it is to be in the top 10 at a large 6A school in the state of Texas, and the amount of work these kids have put in, and the amount of work that all of you as parents and guardians and mentors and teachers have put into these kids is amazing. So congratulations to all of you. We can't wait to see what they do in the future. So before we move on, we're going to give you all just a chance to sneak out if you want to go have dinner or something like that. All right, we don't have anything for open forum number one, so at this time, the board is going to go into closed session pursuant to Opens Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The board will adjourn in closed session pursuant to Section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076.
There's a second session card.
Yeah, I saw as you walked by, you went like this. I saw you.
All right, at this time, the board will reconvene into open session. We are at action item 8.01, consider approval of Trinity High School principal for 24-25 school year. I'll accept the motion.
I move that the board approve Mr. Ronald Pugh as the principal at Trinity High School.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve Mr. Ronald Pugh as principal at Trinity High School. Please vote.
And the first vote is always slow. It has nothing to do with.
And that motion passes.
So I thought I'd give a quick bio of Mr. Pugh's experience. So Mr. Pugh comes to us with 18 years of educational experience, all at the high school level, where he has served as a teacher, a coach, assistant principal, associate principal, and principal. He's been a high school administrator for the last 8 years, most recently serving as the principal of Everman High School for the last 2 years.
Thank you, Dr. Arrington. Mr. Pugh, we always like to give new administrators the opportunity to introduce anybody who they've brought this evening.
Wouldn't be here without him. All right, so I want to come up front and
Please.
chairs were a little smaller for me. But I want to start here with my oldest. This is Miss Jasmine Williams. She's an educator in another school district. This is my son-in-love, Mr. Ryan Williams. And they gave me one of the greatest gifts I could ever give. This is the princess, my granddaughter, Miss Riley.
Hello.
This is my son. That's Ronald Pugh II. Namesake, I'm missing one of my daughters, Taylor. She's not here tonight. She's a first grade teacher and they have a school event tonight. So she wasn't able to be here. And then above all, the queen of the castle. My partner since I was 18 years old. She was 17. And on next month, we will celebrate our 29th wedding anniversary. And this is Melinda Pugh. I also want to introduce another person. This is been a great mentor, like a brother, confidant, encourager. This is Dr. Sam Nix. Came out this quarter.
Congratulations, Mr. Pugh. Welcome to HEB and welcome to Trinity High School. We're happy to have you.
Oh, look, they brought a basket of gear.
All right, board, we will now return to our normally scheduled meeting. Item 9.01, communities and schools update.
These ladies have waited through a lot.
Yes. Hello and good evening. Yeah, the room just got so much. Guess it is. I know, but it's so exciting to see all the students come up. They got announced top 10. It's such a fun time of year. We've got new family members coming in. It's fantastic. So we're here to give you the update on communities and schools and what a fabulous year we've had here in HEB. I am Lauren Sly. I'm the COO for Communities and Schools, and again, proud LD Bell graduate. So it's always near and dear to my heart when I get to come and talk to the HEB family. I'm going to turn it over to Morgan Erie, and then you'll also be able to hear from one of your educators at Harrison Lee. So.
Hi, y'all. I am Morgan Erie. I am the Director of Impact and Evaluation, so I am a full-time nerd and do all of our data stuff. Yes. So our outcomes for last year, we served 876 students with our case management, 72 students with our mental health counseling, 11 schools in case management, 4 schools in mental health, and we don't overlap any of those schools, so those are all unduplicated numbers. The service hours, so tier 1 are those school-wide events. We bring in presenters to do classroom presentations or all school presentations. Tier 2 are those groups, so we see a lot of those at our elementary schools. And tier 3 are those one-on-one services. And then psychoeducation and crisis for mental health looks like serving students not on their caseload that are coming to them in crisis. And then 836 individual counseling hours. 95% of our students improved in attendance, 94% improved in their behavior, 85% improved in academics, 99% were promoted or graduated, and 100% stayed in school, and 97% made progress towards their clinical treatment goals. So we were really proud of our outcomes in HEB last year. So where are we this year? So 905 students served to date with our case management, 69 students served to date for mental health counseling, same schools, and then you can see where we're at on our hours so far. And then just to highlight some of the services we've done, we've helped partner with Night of Hope, Six Stones, a fun run, taken field trips to the Buehler Career and Technical Education Academy, a heart challenge, kindness week, food bags, affirmation boards, partnered with YAM, which helped provide mental health services, did some FAFSA nights, military recruiters coming to Keys in and out every day, basically, and some canned food drives, and just a whole plethora of different activities.
Okay. Yes. And then we have some feedback that we received from one of the educators at Hurst Junior High. And then here with us tonight is Hannah Rodriguez Barlow, who would like to talk about her experience with CIS.
Good evening, School Board of Trustees. My name is Hannah Rodriguez Barlow, and I teach first grade at Harrison Lane Elementary. Before I even start this, the statistics alone make so much sense how impactful communities and schools is, and just seeing it every day at Harrison Lane. But I'm here on behalf of communities and schools and our amazing social workers. I've had the privilege of working with two of them, formerly Katie Holland, who now works in the community in schools district, or their main office, and then currently with Caitlin Tannen. Caitlin has the biggest heart and wants the best for our kiddos. She is an amazing liaison between the school and community partners like FUMC Hurst, Alley Cats, Quick Trip, and many others. We have a program for families in need where they receive weekend bags so they don't go hungry. Ms. Tannen also sees our kiddos regularly for social stories. And anytime I get a new student, I know I can count on Ms. Tannen to get them what they need if I don't have it. She really gets to know our kiddos, and the impact she has on them is amazing. I have one kiddo that anytime she sees Ms. Tannen, her face just lights up. And that truly makes my heart happy. It takes a village to raise these kiddos, and I genuinely am so happy that Ms. Tannen and CIS is a part of Harrison Lane and HEB.
We look forward to another great year with HEB, but are there any questions I can answer about our previous year or this current year as we wrap up?
Any questions from the board?
I did want to point out, 95% improvement in attendance. For us, that means that those students started below a 90% attendance rate. When they come in with a below 90% attendance rate, that's one of our chief focuses. We're going to target them for attendance. So to see a 95% attendance improvement is a great feat. And y'all are one of our highest districts to show improvement in attendance this year.
Hey, that's good to know.
Yes, that's right. All right, well, thank y'all so much for your time this evening. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate everything that we get to do with communities and schools. We know it's such an important program for our students. Thank you, Hannah, for being here tonight. I know your mom's proud of seeing you out there. So. Hey, cousin. All right. All right, item 9.02, disbursements for the month of April 2024. Any questions? All right, 9.03, the 2024-2025 restricted dates calendar. Any questions on those? All right, we're ready for the architect's update. Mr. Williams.
All right, real quick, I just want to, we'll be bringing up Corrigan, Susan Smith in Corrigan and her crew. She's going to give us an update on the two high school projects. And then following that, we'll hear from Aubrey Moses with Huckabee on Harrison Lane and Wilshire. Take it away.
Members of the board, thank you. We're glad to be back to give you an update on the updates for Trinity and LD Bell. And this is our team. We continue to grow it, obviously. Some of our folks are here tonight. Of course, Keith, who you know. Lane Pendleton is our PA. He's focusing on Bell. Jessica Garcia is focusing on Trinity. And then Taylor Lukasek is one of our interior designers, and so she's going to talk about interiors. Some of the recent meetings, we like to give you updates on some meetings, and as we talked about that, we continue to meet with department heads and do design reviews, meet with principals and so forth throughout our process, and we continue to do that. So these are some of the most recent meetings. Upcoming meetings, at the time that we turned this in, we didn't have the actual date for these, but most of these dates are solidified, May 16th for a lot of them. So these are continued follow-up meetings with departments, department heads and principals and so forth. Quick update for LD Bell. Of course, this is the site. Really no changes on this. We just put it in for reference. But a couple of areas that we wanted to touch on for Bell in particular, and actually the first one relates to both of the campuses, and that was a discussion that we've had on the kitchen and servery. And this is, we won't show you another one for Trinity because they're pretty much similar. But the idea here is to have more variety and options and choice for the students. So almost like a mall-type food court. One of the concerns when we met with the food services group was to make sure that free and reduced lunch, regardless of students' ability to pay or where their status was, everyone was treated the same, everyone was equal, and everyone had equal choice. And so they assured us that they could have those menus and have the variety for students and still meet all those guidelines. So I think everyone left that meeting fairly happy with what that was, and it gives the ability for all the students to have choice and for them to be flexible and change out their menu as appeals to the students and still provide the healthy meal. So this is something that goes for both of the campuses. And then I'm going to turn it over to Keith for the rest of the updates.
Thank you, Susan. So the next space we were going to look at is actually the multipurpose cafeteria space. And one thing that we were asked to show was really to look at how this space can be used in different ways. So first, we wanted to show you the typical dining count. So this would be a typical day, how you could set up for lunch with primarily eating spaces at Bell. And one thing to note, we did also discuss a lot having some breakout spaces. There's a grab and go just on the south of the plan and also a campus store. That's something that we've been discussing with the campus and the leadership about having additional options that maybe could stay open longer time spans than the cafeteria space, really to activate this space and be able to use it throughout the day. The next one that we have is looking at a situation where you might have a staff meeting set up. So one thing we looked at both campuses is having the space as flexible as possible. One thing we considered was a portable stage that has AV connections right there for sound and video. You can plug in, and what we're showing here is a staff count of 148, but that's just our layout. There's a variety of different options for that. Another scenario possibly is a banquet setting. Here again, with that flexible portable stage, you can set up the space with the stage facing the other direction. Again, having easy connection to visual and audio for that type of setting. And here we're showing 270 for a banquet, but that could vary, get larger or smaller based on the space. Again, showing how flexible this space is and different uses for it.
Hey, Keith, can I interrupt you with a question?
Yeah, sure can.
Hypothetically speaking, where would the variety of different tables be stored? Or what do
Yeah.
other schools do with those?
We do, we would provide some storage for it. You can see there is a table and chair storage that would house some of it. It really depends on how the campus is using it. So we will provide some for the banquet setup. That may or may not be something that's housed on campus, but that's something that can be worked through with the campuses.
So I know you mentioned having AVs set up there. Are we working with anybody in terms of acoustics so that no matter which direction you're facing, people will be able to hear? And
Correct. That was something that's been stressed, very important. So we are working with our acoustic consultants, also for video as well, making sure wherever you're sitting that you have clear line of sight to a screen or display.
So the other thing I'm sure you've considered, but we struggle with at the BCTEA is lighting for those special events.
Yes, and that is something we've also considered quite a bit. Even with the type of display we're looking at, we know that this space is going to get a lot of natural sunlight, which is something that's very important for the space, but we want to make sure that screen also reads in those light settings as well. All right. Next, we were going to provide you an update on the classroom area. This is a typical classroom space for the core curriculum. After meeting with them, we really wanted to focus and look at how we might be using that space outside of the classroom itself, which is the wider corridors that we've discussed before. So this is an opportunity for having some head-down area, some work areas, and also some presentation areas. So we presented to the core curriculum class and the department heads and really looked at how those spaces might be able to be used. We also discussed with them a flexible space that you could actually use one of the classrooms and open it up to expand and kind of spill out into that space. It's something just as an option, again, with flexible furniture. And the next page here kind of shows some opportunities for some flexible marker boards, also some display areas, again, to help support that area, but keep it as flexible as possible for different opportunities in the classroom areas. This is just an update of the third floor. As Susan mentioned, we've had a number of department meetings again. We met with science this past week and discussed the actual classroom layout with them. And that bigger meeting on the 16th is with the department heads and the actual campus curriculum people. Next, we wanted to update you on the exterior. We've had quite a few meetings with the campus on the exterior of the building and made some updates to it. I think you might have seen, so we wanted to go through those. First and foremost is material. So we really wanted to go back and look at what is a building material that really resonates with LD Bell. And we kept coming back and hearing about the Bedford School and really how it looks like a school for Bedford and looks for LD Bell. So we really took that to heart and implemented it in some of our renderings. Here is an update for the main entry. Another comment that we had before was that we were hearing that Bell's entry maybe didn't have the presence of Trinity's entry. So we went back and looked at it and gave it more stone columns, a little bit more accentuated roof line. We also provided some screens in the front that has some opportunity for some additional branding for the school, but really kind of emphasized that main entry. Here's also looking in that same direction, but pulled back a little bit. We also studied the entry of the auditorium space, again, giving it a little more grandeur and presence, so something that you can really read as you're coming into the front of the campus. Again, the field brick that you see is matching that brick sample that we looked at of the Bedford School, so really tying that into the material of the school itself. Here's a shot looking over to the new competition gym. Something we heard from the campuses is really accentuating some some marketing and graphics for the school, really branding it. Another thing we looked at is really accentuating this at the evening games where you come in later. So this is an opportunity to backlight that and really have that logo really resonate as you're coming in and approaching the campus.
I like the, so what is the LD Bell? Is that like metal cutouts in front of the glass? Or is that?
There's a couple different things we're looking at. You can actually do that. You can also do actually a film that actually attaches to the glass. It gives you some of that transparency, but there's different densities of that so that it either really pops or, and that's something we're still studying.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
mean, I'd want it to be nicer than like a decal on,
sure.
on the windows.
Yeah.
But, you know, if it's something like that that could be lit or backlit or something like that to where it would really show off, that'd be pretty incredible. But
We've also had conversations with the campus about really looking at the coloring of lighting. You know, there's different colors, you can different shades, really popping some blue in there could really make it stand out as you approach. Here's wrapping around to that classroom wing. So here again, talking with the campus, we looked for some opportunities for branding. Again, looking at a big logo that can be backlit as you're coming in. This is a lot of the bus drop-off area. And in fact, in the rendering here, we really took into account for the special education classrooms and the personal drop-off right there covered for them, right? Their classrooms are right inside that door, so easy access there. Again, re-emphasizing that brick palette that we studied with Bedford.
Great color.
Now we're looking into the courtyard. This is just outside of that multipurpose cafeteria space, really seeing that connection back into that space, also that connection to the front entry as you come into that courtyard. Another view looking back at that space, studying some opportunities for some shading areas, really to activate the courtyard, give some opportunity for outdoor learning and also some outdoor activities during lunch and different times of the day. And next, I'm going to have Taylor address the interior.
So this first image is taking a step into that student union space. You've seen this view before. We've had some interior development since then. To locate you, your main entry is right behind you. You've got that mezzanine level behind the mesh railing on that second floor, and then up in that wooden box is that library space. Some of the new things is that grab and go that we mentioned earlier. That's right there. It has a hidden operable partition so that it can be closed and secured when not being used, but still look nice. And then you have that school store right next to it. You have a man door right there, but on the opposite side, you have an operable garage door. So when you have bigger events and more people, the space can overflow into that student union space and just allow more flexibility. We also have some more branding opportunities here. So you see some placeholders with the large bell on the blue wall, the blue Raiders, the signage for the grab and go, and the school store. And then when you look up into that library space, you see some more branding. These are some placeholders, and we'll continue to develop these as we have some visioning sessions with each school. This is taking a look up on top of that mezzanine level. So again, another look at that branding wall. A great opportunity for photo ops, for campus events, and then you see more of that library space in the back. This is taking a step into your library. So to locate you again, your student union's to the left behind us, that glass wall that we were looking up into earlier, that was that branding wall that you were seeing through there. Behind that wall is your testing room space. This is a flexible space, so it has an operable wall that you're seeing open currently. You can use it for a library when it's not being used for the testing room with the movable furniture and flexible space, and then if not, you can close it and use it for testing room. There's a testing room storage, so you can store all of your desks and chairs and all your materials when it's not being used. And then that wood wall in the back, you see your elevator on your left, and then there's 3 breakout spaces that students can use and reserve through the library and use it for group study or group presentations when they need to meet with groups. And then moving into a typical classroom pod that we showed you earlier. So this is looking at that central portion. You got your classrooms on the perimeter. You got that flexible classroom that we mentioned with the operable partition that's open, allowing that classroom to overflow into this space. You're seeing some heads down space, some presentation space in the corner. This is just supposed to be a multi-purpose space to allow students to use it for different needs. And that's it for interiors for Bell.
Any questions on Bell before we move into Trinity?
Well, I just like to say, I think it looks a lot better. I think we've gone through a lot of different iterations of Bell, and I think we're getting there. I mean, we may even be there. I mean, I think it drastically improved.
Well,
thank you for
And
staying on it.
We've had a lot of great input from the campus and also for the administration, so we appreciate that. All right, we'll jump into Trinity. So very similar updates for Trinity that we had for Bell. Again, the site plan, just no new updates here, but just to remind you of the site updates that we're working through. Oh, sure.
Where are we putting the tennis courts now? I don't know if y'all know, have you moved the tennis courts or discussed that? Nope.
There will be tennis courts on the site we're still working on some pieces of that, but there will be tennis courts on site.
Those parents that called me, I don't have to call them back. Thank you.
Again, moving into the floor plan, focusing again on the multipurpose cafeteria space. Similar to what we were showing you before, we did the same study for Trinity. This does have a larger student count, so there are some more seating planned in the typical everyday use of the dining. We have 950 seats shown here, really utilizing that whole space as a dining opportunity. You can see, much like we have at Bell, the grab and go is toward the center of the campus, and also that campus store with the table and chair storage located there. We'll have some interior renderings to show you that space as well. With a different configuration for staffing meetings, this one for 200 staff. Again, using a portable stage setup with access to audio and visual, really designating that space that you have the opportunity for that, for a little more intimate type of setting and presentation, but large enough for the campus staff there. And again, a option for banquets. Here you can see that we've moved that stage, that portable stage, up to the northwest. There's a nice solid wall that's right there that kind of is a great backdrop for a stage setting, and also where we could have some of that audio-visual elements right there that you can easily plug into and display. Moving upstairs to the classroom area. Again, a study similar to what we saw at Bell is really looking at that space that's right adjacent to the classrooms and how that breakout space could work. Again, with some head down area, also flexible classroom spaces and presentation areas right adjacent. Also with that flexible classroom that can be opened up or closed as needed for the campus.
The light blue area, a breakout area?
It is, yeah, the light blue.
Open to the hallway?
It is. It's just a widened hallway in that area.
Yeah, Andy, I don't know if they said it, that other classroom has those expandable doors, and so it shows it open a lot of times, but they can close that and contain that area, or they can open those up and go into that flex space.
The only thing I bring this up, I understand if I have three groups, I'm gonna put one in the breakout area and one here and one there. But that breakout area, now it's open the hallway where I'm going by and I see you inside, I'm gonna yell at you while you're working in the group. And the other thing is what I've seen in my life, kids come at 7 in the morning and they're gonna be in this breakout area.
Mm-hmm.
So do you need to put a teacher on duty every morning in that breakout area because kids are gonna be there? And they don't leave till 5 o'clock, so at 4 o'clock, you're gonna put a teacher on duty to watch that breakout area, because they're gonna be vaping, I won't say all the other things. But, I would love, this is just me talking, if you could have that breakout area closed off so you could lock it and say, he wants the key on Monday, I'll take it on Tuesday, I'll take the breakout area, Joe, you'll take the breakout area on Friday, and then you lock it up and kids can't congregate there every morning, and evidently there's several of these.
Mm-hmm.
And so those kids are gonna just be there every morning without anybody watching.
Yeah, I think we won't be able to do that because this is just a wide spot of the hall. And so the hall we have to have that space to move through the area. I think what we've got to decide and what we control is what furniture we use.
Yeah, actually, that's what I was going to bring up. I really love that today if I walk through Trinity, there's kids sitting on the floor in the hallway working on a project because there's nowhere else for them to go. In this situation, there's a set spot for them to go, which is across the hall from the classroom that they came out of. And the teacher can keep an eye on them. I really love that. My question is about electricity to some of these tables and areas that are in that area. So how do we make, because everyone's going to have their device. Do they have to walk over to the wall to plug in, or is it going to be set in the furniture?
Yeah, there's some different options. I think we're still looking through those and what types of furniture pieces and there are some that as you mentioned, that come with where you can actually connect the furniture itself. There's also opportunities for different areas in the space itself, whether it's on the wall or ceiling or floor, that you can look at. Yeah. Also, with some exterior updates of Trinity, this is, again, the view looking from the corner there at Industrial Boulevard back to the campus. Also another view looking a little bit closer as you come into the space, really staying with the palette that we had shown previously, so there's not really a material change from Trinity to what you've seen before. This is the space that's between the academic building and actually the athletic building, that spill-out courtyard space. It really has that direct access from the classroom space as well to be used throughout the day. And another view from the other courtyard, which is on the opposite side of the academic, between it and the fine arts area. The space that right behind this is that multi-purpose cafeteria space. So you have that access directly out of the cafeteria into this space at different times of the day.
I really like those shades. Is that what we think they're going to actually look like?
We are still looking at the different patterns, but yes, in this one you can see the perforations are kind of mimicking the canopies of
Leaves
trees. So that is the intent. It'd be a version of that.
Right.
So is there a reason why we didn't put that on the other side? Because when I first saw this, I thought, oh, this is where I thought it was the other courtyard.
Oh, yeah. The main reason for it on this side is where we have that large glass looking to the 3-volume space of the multipurpose academic area, or the cafeteria space. This side is primarily classroom spaces, so it doesn't have the larger windows, but it's something that we could look at some additional shading. Is really more driven by the size of the windows behind it.
I got it, okay.
Yeah. And again, Taylor?
Before we move on to interior.
Yes.
So on Bell, we removed all of the exterior material that looked like fake wood.
We did, yes.
And we've left it at Trinity. Has there been any discussion, and it really improved Bell, has there been any discussion on looking at the same sort of substitution or removal at Trinity?
We haven't at this point, but it's definitely something we can look into.
I mean, it's something that I think drove the discussion at Bell, and we got to a better spot.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to, in light of the changes made at Bell, I'd like to reevaluate the use of those at Trinity.
Definitely. We can definitely do that.
Is it meant to simulate wood, or is it just like a bronze metal panel?
What we originally have been looking at was a product that looked like wood, and it's actually derived from a wood product, so it weathers well. It doesn't fade or get damaged by the rain, but there's definitely opportunity to explore different materials.
Well, and we're about to get to the interior, and it may be a symbiotic discussion, but looking at the interior pictures of Trinity, it struck me the amount of wood I'm looking at, especially in the first and the last picture that we're about to get to. I mean, wood panels.
Yeah.
That's not there at Bell, and I think Bell looks now a lot sharper than Trinity does. And so if we're looking at wood on the exterior, we're about to get to the interior. You may want to give a second thought to the use of wood at Trinity inside, because with the changes at Bell, it's striking now how much wood we're using or wood-like material we're using at Trinity.
Yes, I think that makes sense to look at the exterior and interior hand in hand too.
First, we're going to look at that student union space. Again, you've seen this space before. We just further developed it a little bit more. To locate you, the main entry is right behind us, and we're looking out into that courtyard that we were looking at earlier with those screens. And then up above, you have that library and that wood form. What's changed in this student union space or developed more is actually underneath that box. You've got your grab and go on the left, similar to Bell, same function. You can see that hidden operable wall there that can close behind that wall, but also be closed to be secured. And then across from that space is the school store, similar function to Bell as well. And then beyond that, this is looking at the other side of the student union, looking back towards that main entry and seeing that other side of that library box. This is taking a step into the library. So on the left, that's looking down to that main entry view of the student union. You've got some branding opportunity on that wall that looks into the testing room function. Again, similar function to Bell. It has 2 operable partitions that can close this space off to be used as a testing room. It also has testing room storage as well for the chairs and desks. And then this is taking a step into that typical classroom pod. Again, you have your classrooms on the perimeter. You're looking at the central portion here where it has that flexible classroom that can overflow into that space. And again, just more opportunities for some heads down work, group work, or that presentation space.
I have a question about, you said branding opportunities, and it's apparent when you look at the Bell that obviously somebody has put some time and effort into looking at the branding situation. Is that because their campus has spent more time, or what is the difference here?
We currently just have placeholders for those, as we are planning to have visiting sessions with both schools to further develop those. So those placeholders would be equivalent at both schools to show that this is Trinity and this is Bell.
Neither is set.
Yes.
At both campuses, they're just our placeholders, and then we're going to have a whole series of sessions to really figure out what the branding is at each campus.
Yeah, and I would say I'm not very excited about the white furniture in that one slide with teenagers. That won't last long. Plaid or black or something else besides white, with my experience.
Yeah,
Especially
those are just placeholders right now, just to show, so.
Convince me, please convince me.
Yeah, none of the furniture has been selected at all. Yeah, it could be anything.
Thank you.
And for the branding, we've met initially with a legacy committee for both campuses, at each campus. And so we're working closely with them on what is important. We're also going to be working with, we've got some colors for each campus from the district. So we're going to be working to put a branding package together for each high school. So once we have that set and everybody's in agreement, you'll have kind of a set of rules for your campuses on what colors are used and the brand and how it's used to help each campus go forward. But right now, as Taylor said, we have some just hold areas for the brand. Our next steps, really, as we had shown, we continue to work with committees, we continue to work with the departments and so forth, and it's all towards deliverables, just so that we have targets that stay on target and on pace with Joris and their work needed. And so that's really, we just continue to work with people all the way through. But these are kind of our milestones that we've got set for ourselves to keep ourselves moving forward. And this evening, that's all we have. So we've got some input on Trinity about the wood, exterior, interior, so we'll take some looks at that and get back with you. And then if you have any other questions, please let us know.
I love that you keep coming to us and that you keep listening to not only what we suggest, but what the campuses are suggesting. Ultimately, I think this will get us to our very best product in the end.
We've started to bring some physical samples of some of the materials. It's a lot in flux right now, so we don't have anything on a board yet, but we do have things if you wanted to touch, feel, see what we're looking at, you're welcome to. But we will continue as we develop the interiors.
Are those carpet squares? What are those? Are those carpet squares?
Yes, they're currently cut in half just to travel, but they're carpet tiles.
They come bigger.
Yes, they're more plank size.
They're bigger, but yes.
All right, does the board have any other questions?
The one on the far left looks like the one, kind of like the one in here.
It's a smaller scale.
And we took it out of the rest of the building, didn't we? This one we have in here? We had it in the hallways and,
Always for something more resilient, so that's why we went with the LVT in the hallway.
yeah.
Mhm.
The only thing I would encourage you to do is, if you didn't tonight, is make friends with our new principal at Trinity and bring him into the fold as quickly as possible. 'Cause he's jumping
Absolutely.
into the middle, or the middle of the beginning. But we've got a head start on him, and he needs to be brought into the fold as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, we've already talked to Josh about that. So that is our next plan. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, he does have another job for the time being, but,
Yeah.
we do look forward to letting him have his chance to,
Everman's not too far away. You just show up.
yeah, but as Julie said, I'd like to repeat that, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and taking our feedback and really working hard on it. And I got to be in a meeting 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, with Dr. Harrington and a lot of the other principals and Josh and a lot of folks were in that meeting, and we had some good conversations particularly about LD Bell, and I'm really happy with the results that you guys have come up with. I think it was great to tie it back to something in the community, and it's a huge improvement. So thank you very much.
We were very thankful that the Bedford School was mentioned multiple times. That really gave us a grounding. So thank you so much.
All right. Give you guys a second to break down, and then we'll have Ms. Moses come up.
All right, good evening. I have with me tonight Kaylee Combs. She is our interior designer for all of the HEB projects that we've worked on the last few years, and then Steve Normand with CORE. So he will be part of the construction management team on these projects. So he's going to chime in at a couple points in this presentation as well. So tonight we've reached the milestone at the end of the design development phase. So we have worked through all of the interior finishes and materials. We've got some new renderings to show you for each of these campuses. But I will thumb through here and just give you some quick updates. Again, this narrative is always here for your reference. And then this program, nothing has changed since schematic design. So again, it's here for reference, just a reminder of the updates from Bel Air. Are some additional restrooms in the pre-K, kindergarten, and FOSSI classrooms, just because there are more of those at this campus, so that will provide them the flexibility for what they need year to year. And then some modifications to the choice classroom layouts. So that's what you see highlighted in yellow on the left. All right, we've added some logistics plans for this phase, or for this presentation, so Steve is going to talk through what that will look like for each campus.
Thanks, Aubrey. We're looking at a logistics plan for phase 1 of Hurst-Hills. Kind of hard to see there, but the new elementary school is on the south side, and that's phase 1, construct the new elementary school. The black line dashed around it represents the temporary construction fence. So we'll isolate down on the southeast corner with our construction trailer and install the fire lane just south of the elementary school prior to going vertical. We have discussed with the city the potential to lease a portion of the park area, the item pending city approval on the north side, number 12. We've identified that as a temporary trade parking and material storage area. And then we'll create the pink road, temporary access road for parent drop-off. So they'll come in and exit on the south on Redbud. And then we've allocated number 8. It's kind of hard to see, but it's just south of the orange road on the north side. It's a temporary staff parking lot. It'll be asphalt. And then number 7 is a temporary playground for the students, since we'll be building over top of their existing playground in phase 1. The bus loop is on the east side off Billy Ruth Lane. And I believe those are the highlights there. Any questions on phase 1?
I know this is kind of an unusual school in that it has a lot of exterior doors all the way around it, and I think some of those might be for fire safety type reasons. So if students had to leave those doors, like heading towards the construction road back there, is there a way for them to get out those doors and then move to somewhere safe?
Yeah, all the doors will be accessible and exitable, just like usual. So we'll maintain a safe distance of separation from the existing school, and we won't hamper any sort of egress whatsoever. In phase 2, so phase 1 substantially completes in May. Phase 2 begins in May, and we will remove the construction fence and start removing in the summer the building, the existing building. We'll begin construction of the parking lot and the playground areas on the east. There's a retaining wall that runs north and south on the east side that we'll finish installing in the summer. The completion date is September of 26 right now, so we are leaving that temporary parking lot on the north side for about a month or so, just to accommodate staff parking as we finish up. I think those are the highlights on that one. Any questions there? And that is a picture of the completion after phases 1 and 2. Then we'll move over to Wilshire. So Wilshire, this is phase 1. So again, starting in January with the construction of the new elementary school on the east side. A little bit of a grade change requires potentially a temporary retaining wall, number 10, just so we can build the pad. We'll again isolate our temporary construction fence to the east side as shown in the black dash lines. As far as bus loop goes, off of Kinnett on the north, you can see the number 6 identifying the bus loop. And then Signet on the south will be for parent drop-off, so that we've identified a few covered canopies in yellow to allow students to access the building in all weather conditions without being wet. And then number 7 on the top left, that's a temporary staff parking lot and another covered canopy that allows the teachers to access the building. So this one's a little bit more, I would say, simple in a way, as it's clear isolation between the two activities. So our construction trailer is number 9 on the southeast, and we will loop through the east side of the elementary school with all construction traffic. As we move into phase 2, so similar construction schedule, May of 26, the new elementary school is substantially complete. We'll relocate the temporary fencing, to the west side of the property and construct the parking, the playgrounds, and have it open by September of 26.
So, school starts in August of 26, and this is ready in September. So talk me through that, that month.
Yeah, so.
Both cases, really.
Yep. So it's, we should be finishing up, so you'll have a parking lot paved. We'll probably be maybe finishing the playground, maybe striping it, maybe power washing the pavement. Just trying to wrap up construction. So the site will look generally complete. There will be no fencing really around. We are going to operate finishing up the school while there's nobody around. So there won't be any heavy construction traffic or any major equipment on site. It'll be a truck with striping lines or caulking the paving or just kind of wrapping up loose ends.
So the school year will start in the new building. It's just going to be the exterior stuff, kind of like at Bel Air. The kids moved into the new building, then we tore down the old building and built. Now we're
Yeah, except that in both these cases, we've got playgrounds moving and some other things.
So we've done this, this would be more like an Oakwood Terrace, when we finish the building, we can have that building ready. We'll have the CO on the building piece, which is what we did with Bel Air, but we may be finishing that last phase of all the ancillary pieces around that. And still, so if you saw on Hurst-Euless, he said they leave the temporary parking in place. That's why he's doing that, to make sure that we can finish those other little pieces on the outside. Okay. But we will start school, and we get into our buildings with TCOs or temporary certificate of occupancies, and that lets us get in the building to be able to start school.
Yep. Thanks, Josh. And that is a picture of the completed Wilshire.
And one other question we got when we were looking at Wilshire specifically and the parent drop-off being on Signet directly on the street, that already occurs for some of the students, so that is something that campus is used to. We are considering having a conversation with the city of Euless to make that a one-way street as well, to help with all of that. Okay. And then no change really on the final site plans, other than that we are showing detention ponds at both campuses, and there will be retaining walls at both campuses in the end. This one is along the north, along Connect. You see that called out right in the middle. And so just being aware that they'll be about 8 feet tall at the highest point, so the sidewalk along the street will be lower than the rest of the school site, which will be raised. There's significant amount of grade change on this site specifically that we're having to deal with. So. Okay, floor plans, also no changes since schematic design. So if there's no questions on those, I'll just pass by those pretty quickly. And then we have exterior and interior renderings for both campuses. Last time we showed you some schematic views for the exterior. And as always, we are looking at the neighborhood context of each campus. And Hurst Hills, we saw a lot of tans and lighter tones in the brick. And so the exterior colors will reflect that. So these should be similar views to what you saw last time. They're just a little more polished. And so all of the materials are the same type of material that you've seen on the previous iterations of this prototype, just modified color-wise per campus. So on the left end where you see the whiter color is the cream larger CMU masonry product. And then the brown areas on either side of that main entrance are the wood look accent. And then the brick is what you see further down. And again, so it's that light medium range that reflects the neighborhood character. This gives you a better view of the academic wing and where you see those materials a little bit better. And then in the back, this is the cafeteria entrance. So again, all of the same materials that we've had before, just with the colors for this campus. And then as we move into the interior renderings, wanted to share with you that we did a little design exercise with the Buinger Advanced Architecture students. They were in our office back in January, and so we decided to take advantage of that and get their input on one of the unique elements in each of these campuses, which at Oakwood Terrace were trees in the library for the owls, and at Bel Air were some helicopter blades floating around that light cove representing the whirlybirds. So we gave them all of the mascots for the next 4 elementary schools and had them sketch some ideas for us. And so this represents some of their ideas for both the Falcons and the Wildcats. We then gave these sketches to the principals and talked through what kind of, what they were interested in seeing, developed a couple of different concepts, and then narrowed it down to the renderings that you'll see tonight. We did look at some winged options for the falcons, and they decided to stick with a variation of the tree theme for those birds, but you'll see some tweaks in both designs as we move forward. So starting with Hurst-Hills, this is the library, and you'll still see those little nooks in the back, the little seating spots for those students. Kaylee, you want to point out the materials for those elements?
So this material right here will be at the back of the pocket seating in the library. This blue paint will be the accent paint within there. This is the carpet within the library, and then this vinyl right here will actually wrap those pocket seatings where it will be the plush material. The trees that you see, this plastic laminate right here will be what those trees will be. And then we're also bringing in a green felt to kind of actually have a literal tree within the space.
Yeah, so we have changed the form of that tree a little bit, and you'll also see one of the unique features in that tree are some little holes, like where a bird might nest. But in this case, they are lit up so you can do some displays for some books. So that was one of the students' ideas that has translated through. And then similarly, this is the intersection in the academic wing outside of the restrooms. There's always been another little column and seating area out there, but we haven't shown this rendering before. So we just wanted to show how some of these features are carrying themselves through the campus. This principal liked having those dividers around that bench so that students wouldn't just lay down on it. And so you'll see some of the same materials here. You want to walk through some of the materials in this view?
So in this view, the flooring is the terrazzo. So this is the field terrazzo that aligns with the field paint. This is the accent. So we actually brought in a blue in these campuses just to bring in some more color. The bulkheads will be the blue paint as well. And then in the corridor, the principal actually liked the red at the back of the pocket seating, bringing in the red of the campus. And so the red will be at the back. This will also be at that soft seating. And then again, the trees will be this plastic laminate with the green felt.
You want to point out any of the other wall tiles that we may be seeing?
As far as, the wood wall tile is this one here. And then we've got other accent tiles within this campus. This one right here will be used at the serving lines, which this is a full-size sample of that. And then this blue wave tile will be used at the end stairwell that's going to be kind of a glass box, and then we'll have a blue accent wall there. And then this tile right here is going to be used behind the water fountains. And so we brought in the falcon feather, so you kind of see that, and then whenever you install it vertically, it kind of looks like a falcon chest, like going up. So.
Okay, and then this view is the cafeteria, again using the same wood look tile around the stage at the far end of the view. And then you see some red and blue acoustic panels throughout. And then a lot of the same materials we've already talked about.
Yes, so these are the acoustic panels. That's the new material that is introduced in this space. They'll also be in music in the gym. The stage will be wrapped in the wood tile again, and then the flooring will be the terrazzo within here.
And then finally, this is the reception area. As always, we like to do something unique in the back, identifying the campus by name and then giving it a unique tile or feature back there that's unique to the campus. You want to talk about that one?
And so this one will actually be behind the signage for the campus. So it again brings in kind of like that feather, abstract feather shape. And then this is the countertop within the reception area. And then the actual desk will be this material here. And then carpet, again, same as the library.
Any questions on Hurst-Hills? Okay, we'll move on to Wilshire. So just like Hurst-Hills, we looked at the neighborhood context here. There was a lot of darker tones and deeper browns in this campus. So when we get to the exterior renderings, you will see a darker selection in the brick and metal colors. The other colors, however, are the same. So it's the same color masonry, that cream color, and the same color wood look accents on either side of the entrance in the library. But you will see the darker brick here in the upper left-hand corner. And you also see a different metal panel accent color. And this shows the academic wing where you can see it a little bit more, stand out a little bit more. And then finally, the cafeteria entrance. And then moving to the interior, this campus are the Wildcats. And so we looked at various options for their trees, and they elected to keep a tree similar to Oakwood Terrace. What is hard to tell in this rendering, we have modified the branches a little bit so that they kind of curve in a little bit to look like a W when you look at it in profile. And you also see the paw prints backlit that are climbing up the tree. So that was the students' ideas that came through to this campus.
And so this one, this is the carpet that you typically have seen in the other elementary schools, so the principal went with the original carpet. This is the blue that will be at the back of those pocket seatings. This is the vinyl that will be at the plush area of the pocket seating. The tree will be the same laminate, and then the accent wall will be this blue here.
And then that cafeteria, or not cafeteria, classroom intersection at this one, again, similar tree look with seating around it. And then for this one, those little nooks or pocket seatings, put some paw prints in there to identify the Wildcats again.
And so this tile here, it actually brings in the W again. So whenever you install it vertically, it reads as a W in an abstract way. And so that will actually not be in this rendering anymore. The principal let us know that she would prefer the wood in this one, but this will be at the reception. And then again, this is at the back of those pocket seating areas in the plush. The field terrazzo, the accent terrazzo matches the accent blue for this campus. And then the wood doors are going to be this laminate here.
Okay, then cafeteria, similarly, you see the various colors of acoustic panels, and then the wood look tile wrapping the stage.
So in this rendering, the cafeteria stage is going to be the wood as well. This will be the wainscot throughout the campus. The terrazzo flooring will be within here, the blue accent paint, and then these are the acoustic panels that are within the cafeteria.
And then finally, this is the reception area. So she's already shown you the yellow tile in this one, and then similarly, the desk and the countertop there. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on Wilshire? Okay. All right, and then moving into schedule, like I said, right now we're at the end of the design development phase, so assuming everything goes well tonight with the rest of the presentation, we will jump right into construction documents. And the goal is to release those documents to the contractor by the 1st of July. Bid schedule, we are currently showing to be in the July-August timeframe and bring the GMP to you in August. Core may elect to push that one more month since he's going to talk about construction. Last time we showed you staggering between the two campuses. Now we're showing start dates for both campuses, January of 25, and he's going to speak to that. But that gives us flexibility in that bid window and where we want to do that. We may allow a little bit more time for the permitting process to take place so we can address any city comments in the documents. It will also allow that bid day to be closer to the start of construction so that hopefully contractors will hold their prices a little bit better in today's market. So, Steve, you want to speak to the construction phasing changing?
Yeah, we looked at some opportunities to align the start dates of both of the schools into January. And we brought an option study to the team, identifying some pros and cons of a line start in January. A couple of them, just to highlight, are it's a little bit safer because, as you mentioned, we are opening the school, and then phase 2 is demolishing the old school. So this allows us to complete almost all of those activities during summer when there aren't children around. It also will allow the district additional time to move in, substantially complete on the new school on May 22nd. So having the entire summer to move in was a benefit, and then potentially getting larger trade partners with the ability to handle both schools at the same time could provide tremendous value when we get to the GMP stage. So with all those things considered, we've slid the start date to January 6th to align with Wilshire. Here's our current design development budget summary sheet for both schools. So at this stage, design development, we have received about 134 trade partner budgets between the two schools. Have two-dimensionally taken off as many quantities as we could. We have a assemble platform that allows for 3D quantification. So again, just trying to provide as many data points for this estimate as possible. We are trending a little bit over budget in both, but we do have contingencies, design contingency, escalation contingency to carry us all the way to the GMP. And we, again, our main goal here is from this moment forward is to create tremendous opportunity and competition as we move to GMP. So we'd love to hold an outreach event here in the district at some point, start engaging the trade partners and communicating with them about the projects, create a lot of excitement, get a lot of qualified trade partners to bid us at GMP. But overall, I think we're tracking right on target.
So you're not recommending any changes at this point?
Yeah, no, we're not recommending any changes to the scope whatsoever. I think we'll come out on or under budget by the time we get to the GMP.
That's it. So any questions?
All right. Any questions about the elementary schools? All right, thank you, Aubrey. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. I didn't write your name down yet, but I'll write it down now. All right. Dr. Harrington, Strategic Plan 2024 through 2029.
Yes, so tonight we are presenting our final version of the strategic plan. In the Friday update, you received the full strategic plan and the glossary. Also, tonight we wanted to highlight the priorities. The other piece I wanted to do is every time we've done an update, it's been just Dr. Joe. And so I wanted to make sure each priority champion had a chance to come up and share their part of this plan, as this has not been the work of one person. So as a matter of fact, this has been a work of a lot of people. And so that's the piece I wanted to emphasize today. Again, you've seen this, the vision did not change. We have updated the mission, and so we had presented that to you. Our core messages have moved to core values. And so we started with our words, and then we added the definitions of them. And so we feel very good about those. And again, we've gone over those with you before. We moved from the term goals. So we've had 5 goals, and we moved to priorities. Goals need to be a SMART goal. And so they were never SMART goals, but they were always the term was used as a goal. So we moved to the word priority. The other piece, and I think this was Dawn's suggestion, was removing the numbers. You know, you can't say safety is our #1 concern if it's goal 3. If it has, so the goals don't have numbers because what's most important of these is going to be what's most important at that time. These are our priorities. All right, so we're going to start with our first priority of student success. And Darla Clark is going to begin that. I'm going to go to the end of the line.
Good evening. So as Dr. Harrington said, the priority is student success, and this one is the district will create a safe, healthy, and nurturing learning environment that promotes sustained growth for all students. And as he indicated, there was a team for each of these, and then the team got input from various people, so this represents the work of a group of people. Each of the priorities has a quality indicator listed under it. This particular one is Quality Indicator 1, Academic Rating of the District. And then we have 4 goals under this priority, and this is how all of them are set up. So we will read the quality indicator and let you guys read the goals for yourself. So here are the 4 goals under Quality Indicator 1. Quality Indicator 2 is early literacy and numeracy, and we have 3 goals under this quality indicator. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Brandon Johnson.
All right, so for Quality Indicator 3, federal and state accountability, we have 5 goals underneath this quality indicator. And then as we go to Quality Indicator 4, CCMR, college, career, and military readiness, and we have 4 goals under this quality indicator. And rounding out student success, quality indicator 5, learning opportunities beyond core academics. And you might remember this as the whole child. And as we move to the next priority, employee success, I have Ms. Cicely Tuttle.
So under employee success, the district will recruit and retain quality employees by providing a workplace culture that promotes their development and growth. And we have 2 quality indicators for employee success for this priority. The first is employee engagement and retention, and the second is employee recruitment. And I'm going to turn it over to Conrad Streeter for the next priority.
Thank you. Good evening. I had a great team that worked with me on safety and well-being, and as you know, that's a pretty hot topic over the last few years, so a lot of work was put into this priority. The district will continuously monitor, update, and adjust all aspects of campus and district safety to support the mental, physical, and emotional well-being of students and staff, and as you can tell, that's a little bit different than it was in the past. And we have quality indicator number 1, Texas schools safety standards. So we really made our goals surrounded that because that is a requirement by TEA, so we needed to align those goals. And then quality indicator 2, well-being for all students and staff. And that's an important piece that we also included here is how are we taking care of not just our kids, but also our staff. And I'm going to ask Mr. Dobie Williams to come up and talk about effectiveness and efficiency.
Okay, and like Conrad, I had Dr. Hopkins work with me on this. I appreciate her help. Effective and efficiency, the district will establish and implement systemic, district-wide, and systematic process-driven procedures to align resources with its vision, mission, core values, priorities, and goals. And you can see quality indicator number 1, continuous improvement approach to performance excellence, and the 3 goals under there. And then quality indicator number 2, efficient use of district resources, and there are 4 goals there. Next, we have quality indicator 3, evaluation, improvement, and innovation processes, and only 1 goal there. And then indicator 4, efficient use of technology resources with 2 goals there. And now we've saved the best for last. Ms. Deanne Hollander.
Thank you. Our final priority is family and community partnerships. The district will grow and maintain family and community connections to support student and employee success. And these are going to look pretty familiar. We felt that the 2 quality indicators that we had in our previous plan were very, very appropriate. So we changed the goals beneath them just a tad. But the 2, stakeholder satisfaction is the first one. And this piece right here is very reflective of our survey. And that is where we will gain our data from the stakeholder satisfaction. And then stakeholder engagement, again, it's the Adopt a School, the Campus Champions, and the VIPs, and all of those programs. We did add on a final goal that did touch on our social media impressions. What I want to share lastly is that it's the communication process of how we're going to communicate this plan, and it's going to start with rolling it out to our staff, to our leadership. We will be creating a brochure, as we've done in the past. I don't know if you've seen the very large poster size plans on a page is what we call it. That will be rebranded, and that will be in every building. And then every teacher will get a paper size, 8.5 by 11 of the exact same plan on a page. So we plan to do that after board approval. Any questions?
Deanne,
To any of us? Yes.
what does per snapshot enrollment mean?
That is a PEIMS thing. Would someone like to talk about PEIMS?
Well, in reference to the social media footprint will be equivalent to 250 impressions per snapshot enrollment?
Snapshot enrollment is our enrollment on Snapshot Day.
Yes.
Yeah, so,
Yes.
yeah, the last.
I understand that. I don't get what that's
go
in
back.
reference to 250 footprint equivalents, though. What does that mean? Oh, thank you.
It's
Thank
a
you.
math problem.
Okay.
It's a math thing. Any other questions? It is the number of, so our enrollment, whatever our snapshot enrollment is, and it's 250 impressions.
It's 250 for every kid.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Deanne, on your quality indicator 1, stakeholder satisfaction,
Yes.
why 90% for parents, staff, and community partners and 80% for students?
A couple of things, and I think Dave did touch on this before. The 80% on students, we only survey 3 different grades: 6th, 8th, and 11th. And so on any given time, we hope to reach 80. 100% is not something that we have ever gotten, but it is still attainable.
Yeah, but 80% is not the percentage of students that we're reaching. It's the percentage of students that are assigning a positive rating.
Oh, okay. Okay, and it's also the age. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right.
It is the history. So it's the history on the grade, and then traditionally, the junior highs knock us down, and it just always happens. So as we look at combining the 3 different groups that we get in the survey, and we look at a number that will indicate that we are moving in the right direction. Right now, that is 80%. Remember, every year we will update the plan, and if we need to move beyond, but we didn't want to set goals that weren't realistic with the numbers we were seeing, so we need to hit that mark before we can continue improving.
So,
I don't know. I don't
no,
know.
I mean, there's some BHAG goals in here, but I think the perception here is we're okay with doing a little bit less with our students than we are everybody else. And I think we should move that to 90%.
We can definitely make that shift.
So overarching feedback is, do we have a mechanism to tell the board for each of these where we are currently? So we're moving into a new 5-year goal. We want to hit all of these numbers. I think it would help us to know where we stand right now. You know, whether some of these are obtained and we're trying to maintain them, or some are aspirational. It would help us figure out which bucket each of these are in, if we know where we're starting from as we're getting into these.
I mean, we've been maintaining our current dashboard, right?
Right,
Yeah.
that would be our current survey data.
Right, some of these can be found in various areas, some are more difficult to find, especially some of the new ones. I mean, if there's just a way to communicate to the board before we vote on this in 2 weeks on where are we?
Yeah, yeah.
We can get that.
The other piece, I thought you were going a different direction, so we can do that. The other piece, I'm going to answer the question you didn't answer, or you didn't ask. The other piece, though, is that scorecard. And we've got to sit down with the board once we approve the new one to determine how do you want this information reported out, and what comes to the board, what gets posted online, what is part of a Friday update, so that we are reporting on all the data. It's just how is it going to be reported to you? But as far as currently where we're at, we can get that.
And then the only part of it that we didn't touch on, which is I think an important part of it, is the key action piece of this. So what's the next step as far as the key actions? And what jumps out to me is what of these key actions are we already doing and what's new? That's not something you can answer right now, or I'm asking you to, but as we're finalizing this, I think it goes to understanding where we are. It's also, okay, of these key actions, which is like a new challenge for us. What are we taking on new, and what are we kind of maintaining and bringing forward?
Let me check. I think we've updated some of that in the past updates, but I don't know if it was collected for the entire work. So we can go through that and look at that. There are some new pieces. Like we said, the reason that it was time to do a bigger overhaul was just so many things have changed post 2020. And so that's why it's a bigger one. But we definitely can look at that and make sure we're pointing out which ones are new, but even what is the data on that and why are we going to track that data. But all those key actions are in the Friday update, but again, we can label new or ongoing.
Chris, just something specific to that. All of the key actions that are aligned with the goals and quality indicators are new in the sense that those were all drafted specifically for this plan. They may have similar language to some of others that we've had in the past, but they have been brought over and or rewritten so that they align with our current plan, if that makes sense. And the data sources are listed. That's how we'll track that data with each of those key actions over the course of a school year.
Yes, and I think I get what you're saying is that
we didn't copy and paste.
We didn't copy and paste.
Yeah, the key actions are aligned with what the new plan is.
But I think what I'm getting at is I recognize all of them are new language in the strategic plan. What I'm more interested in, like this key action is, let's see, the Public Relations and Marketing Department will align survey questions to this district strategic plan. We're already doing that. The language is new, but that's not a new action for Deanne. What are we actually taking on that's new?
Oh, okay.
Actually, action-wise, what's new? I understand that the language is new.
We can do that.
All right, any other questions? Thank you.
Just last piece, I will, Lydia has helped us on this, and as you're asking that question, I'm looking over at Lydia. So that has been a tremendous help as we've worked through this. Lydia's been involved in multiple strategic plan updates, and again, having her assistance as we've gone through probably one of the biggest updates we've done in a long time has been very helpful.
All right, now we'll start. Now we're going to start our review of regular meeting board agenda items. 10.01, financial statements for the month of March 2024. Mr. Williams.
All right, I can't believe all the people that were here earlier left before this. You're gonna miss this.
This is important.
So, anyway, kind of hurts my feelings a little. All right, we're going to look at the financials for ending March 31st, 2024. Starting with the general fund, we had a fund balance of $213,367,321. That represents revenues over expenditures in the amount of $42,171,672. Of course, investment earnings continue to kind of be the highlight of this year's budget. We had, for this reporting period, 4.353 million compared to a little over 3 million this same reporting period last year. Expenditures as of 3/31 were at 55.62%, so you can see up there in the corner or midway, we're about 7/12 through the year, or 58%, so we're tracking where we need to be, so the fund is performing as expected. The general fund expenditure metrics, we had payroll in the amount of 102,431,578. That's currently at 85%. We're inching up slowly towards the 88% we will land at by year end. Utilities represent 2% at 2,428,034. Instructional supplies in the amount of 1,788,752 are at 1% of that. Those are the top three biggest expenditures. Child Nutrition Services has a fund balance of $8,699,609. That's revenues over expenditures in the amount of $2,136,249. As I've said in the recent months, that the department is operating fairly normal now that we've kind of got back down to where we need to be. Expenditures at 3/31 were at 48.59%, well below the 58% for this time of year. So their budget is performing very well also. The debt service fund balance of $60,896,260. That's revenues over expenditures in the amount of $39,360,039. Of course, we've reached the time of year when we've collected most of our taxes. We will have some continue to trickle in through the end of our fiscal year at the end of August. We've made our first debt payment, our second and final debt payment. I will actually adjust these numbers next month because that bottom bullet point you'll see says we will make an amendment to our debt service budget. We had budgeted about $8.5 million for a defeasance this year, and as I mentioned last month, we will actually convert that into a interest payment for our 2420, our most recent bond that we issued. The $600 million for. So, and you'll actually see that in the next budget, the next agenda items where we're requesting that budget amendment. So you'll see that coming up. The CK Pre-K fund balance of $618,263. That represents revenues over expenditures in the amount of $428,787. The highlight on this one is we've received 94.56% of the what was budgeted. Total expenditures as of 3/31 were at 50.02% of the budget. So this fund is performing as expected. Special revenues. These funds as of 3/31 were at 44.07%. Expenditures exceed revenues due to the lag because we spend it first and then get reimbursed. Ask TEA to reimburse us later, and that's what happens. We are, these funds are all tracking as they should be. Campus Activity Fund balance of $3,303,720. That's represents expenditures over revenues in the amount of $27,562. Revenues have increased by $161,000. While expenditures have increased by a little larger number of $222,000. So as I've been reporting, they're spending more money than they're bringing in, which is perfectly normal for this time of year. The Series 2018 bond, we're working it down. We've still got a few invoices we're waiting to come in from technology, and as soon as those all come in and we pay those off, we will be closing out this fund. Right now, there is a fund balance of $869,034, and of course, that's representing expenditures over revenues in the amount of $1,153,329. The 2024 bond has a fund balance of $595,304,655. That's revenues over expenditures in the amount of $596,726,358. Obviously, we've injected that $600 million that we just sold, so it reflects those numbers. All the pre-accumulated pre-bond costs have been, we've made that adjustment. And I've missed a bullet point right there. We've already made that $600 million revenue is in there. But worth mentioning on this one, the district made $447,000 in interest earning in 5 days on these bond proceeds. So, that's the power of compounding. Locally defined capital projects fund. Fund balance of $21,169,557. That's expenditures over revenues in the amount of $26,173,198. These funds, as you know, are finishing off Bel Air Elementary, and then the baseball, softball concessions, bleacher projects, and a few other projects we've got going on. Any new funds we will, of course, bring back to request, which we will do later in the agenda also. And then reimbursements to this fund for the 2024 bond purchases, those will be reflected in coming months too. Some of those haven't gotten booked just yet. So I think that's it, unless you have some questions.
Any questions on the financial statements? All right, budget transfers and amendment requests for consideration May 2024.
Okay, the general fund, these are fairly typical budget amendments for this time of year. The larger ones are for you've got one for some extracurricular activities for a band to purchase instruments. They're moving some money around for that. And then moving some money to data processing from facilities and maintenance for VMware software purchase. Those are the two big budget amendments this month.
Any questions on the?
And then there's one more. Hold on.
Okay, sorry.
Well, the debt service, yeah. This is the one I just mentioned. We, as I said, we originally budgeted about 8.5 for a defeasance. However, we're going to have an interest payment on the 2024 bond in the amount of like about $9.2 million. So this increases that budget, which is covered by excess tax collections. We've got more than enough fund balance to cover that. So that will take care of those excess funds for this year. Now, that's it.
All right, now do we have any questions on the budget transfers? Okay, 10.03, submission for the 2023-2024 application for low attendance day waiver. Still has your name.
I think, is there a, no, there wasn't an attachment. This is for, we had a couple of days at one of the elementary in December for, I think they had a stomach bug or something going around, so they hit the low attendance mark at Oakwood. There was like December 12th and December 15th, I believe. So those are definitely will be days we can get waived. The other one is TEA hasn't made a commitment yet on the solar eclipse day, whether that will be awarded as if we can waive those or not. They basically just said we'll submit it and we'll see what happens. There are several schools that have already submitted that, but none of them have shown to be approved just yet. So we're going to submit it and see what happens. All they can do is say no, right?
All right.
Toby, what would be the actual monetary impact if this gets approved?
Oh, gosh.
Negligible?
It's not a lot, no. It's whatever ADA divided back, I mean, I'd have to do a lot of math to figure that one out, but it wouldn't be a big impact, no.
But this wouldn't be an issue if we did ADA by enrollment.
No, what makes a big impact is our average daily attendance, which has been getting better for the year, but.
No, but what Chris was asking, like, if we did away with the attendance and went to enrollment funding.
Yeah, that would make a huge impact, because you'd be going from basically. Yes. Yeah, I'd make a huge, I'm sorry. Yes, that, absolutely. We're talking, right now, we're getting about 95% of our money. We're getting 95% of the money that the state says they give us. We're only getting 95. If they did away with it, we'd get 100% of it. So there you go.
All right, any other questions on these low attendance waivers? All right, thank you, Mr. Williams.
Now it's Gary.
Now you can sit down.
Yes. All right, 10.04, extension of annual purchase of fuel. Mr. Kerbo.
Mr. Romero, Dr. Harrington, members of the board, thank you for a chance to bring some routine items to you for your consideration. Back in October of 2022, I'd been here about 3 months or 4 months and discovered we didn't have a mechanism to legally buy fuel. I looked everywhere and couldn't find anything. So at that point in time, we joined the Tarrant County Purchasing Cooperative. They have an outstanding fuel contract that's used by about 387 organizations throughout the state of Texas. So we became number 389 or whatever it was. What number did I tell you? What fake number did I tell you? We became the next one right there, and we entered into that agreement. We extended that in October of 2023, but our extension for fuel was not on the same cycle. Their fuel program was expiring, so now that it's expired, they issued a new bid, and this is they just awarded it to Commissioners Court last week, I believe it was, or week before last. So this is the first opportunity to bring it to you. So we're asking that you approve our fuel expenditure and projections from Tarrant County Co-op.
All right, any questions on the fuel purchases? All right, renewal of RFP 22-14B, Administrative and Instructional Contracted Educational Services.
This is one of those just routine contracts to, or purchases to contract with companies, independent consultants to come in and provide supplemental services for instruction on the campus or working with our staff. So this is the last extension for this RFP.
All right, any questions on the RFP? 10.06, new service vehicle for child nutrition services.
How we doing this? We tag teaming it? All right.
We can tag team, but
All right.
before we get these next 5 items are going to be on vehicles. Gary wanted to be efficient and effective and actually bring all these as one, and I said no, so it's my fault, Gary. I made him break these out into different, because I thought the board needed to look at each of these separately, and some of these are in relation to the buses and maintenance vehicles that we talked about, and so we're requesting the funding for these. But what I wanted to point out is that for those vehicles, maintenance and transportation, this is not our replacement cycle plan. This is if you recall, we talked about getting to the point where we could start a replacement cycle plan. So this is what we're trying to do here, and we're requesting the purchase of these vehicles, but also approving the funding sources. And as we go through each one of those, we'll talk about those funding sources.
Our plan is still to create
Yes.
the replacement cycle.
Absolutely.
I think what we're still looking at is these are purchases we need to make now. We still need to finalize what is going to be that cycle and what is the revenue to fund those cycles. And that's where we're not there yet. But these are the vehicles we do need at this time.
All right, so how do you want to go through these?
I'll let Mr. Kerbel, from a purchasing standpoint, I'll let him say whatever he needs to say.
So these are, we purchase things in the aggregate, regardless of how many individual purchases we make. So that's how I viewed these. These are vehicles, regardless of their buses or their white fleet vehicles, or in one of these cases, golf carts. They're all vehicles. If board approves funding for these, we will take these out as 3 different purchases, because we're going to do buses only from bus suppliers. We'll do golf carts from golf cart suppliers, and the white fleet from those that will do that. So first one is for let's see, Child Nutrition Services. They have a dedicated maintenance technician to, repair their equipment. They need their own vehicle. They've been using one from maintenance, but they've requested one vehicle as indicated in the agenda item.
So is this like a flatbed type truck that they're going to add a service
No,
body
this is
onto?
just,
or?
this is just a pickup truck with a bed, but it doesn't have the overhead carriage or the toolboxes or anything like that. That's how it differs for the other ones from maintenance.
Okay.
A substantial difference in cost too. You can tell from the unit budget numbers you've got there.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because sometimes you'll buy a truck and then you'll go to another provider to buy the box and so.
And they're not requesting that as part of this. That's not to say they may not discover they want to or need to add, places to house their equipment or secure their equipment. But right now, it'll just be the truck.
And these will, obviously, this one will be funded out of child nutrition, which will take the strain off our general fund budget. So, and it's an allowable expense, so.
Okay, go to the next one.
Yes.
Okay. Safety and Security has requested to purchase golf carts to be used at Trinity and Bell, particularly during the construction. That'll give them the ability to mobilize quickly if needed, and go over terrain that they can't very well do so with vehicles. So that's what they've requested and identified. 2 carts for each campus. And I might say we've allocated a generous budget for that. We think we're going to come in well under that number there, but we want to make sure.
We will not be buying carts with mag wheels and stereos and all
Yeah.
that, like you would see on the golf course.
Will we have a good place to house these in the new buildings? Will someplace be?
I'm sure they'll find them a good place.
Yeah.
They've got probably in the athletic facilities, maybe somewhere.
Okay. All right, new vehicles for McKenty Vento.
Again, this is a unique transportation need where buses are not always, practical because of students that are throughout the district, and this will give them flexibility to be able to create smaller routes, either whether it's one family of students that qualify under this or several different ones in areas, and they can send drivers out in different areas.
And I might add a little bit. I asked Marie Becker for some notes and talking points on this, and she gives me a whole page. As of April, we will have spent over $200,000 on transportation costs for McKinney-Vento kids, which is, we're required, it's crazy, but it's a federal requirement. We don't have a choice. So we're thinking we can, with purchasing our own vehicles, we'll be able to cut down on that cost considerably and by doing it ourselves and not contracting it out.
We're currently using a contractor, or is it rideshare type stuff, or?
Yes, yeah, we still will be using them to some degree, but we're just trying to hopefully cut that in half. We're having to contract out. Because right now, we pay for, if a kid moves to Cleburne, I think we've got one down there, we pay the cost one way, Cleburne pays the cost the other way, so.
And is that the entirety of their schooling or just that year?
I think it's, Conrad might.
Yeah, it's for that entire year.
Yeah.
Once they qualify, they're homeless for the entire year, but they could then continue to qualify.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
So Debbie and Gary, just to simplify my understanding, in a perfect world, when we look at a replacement cycle, it's always going to be a multi-budget situation, isn't it? Because it's based on what we use it for?
Yes, we'll purchase it out of one budget year, but a replacement cycle will be over several years because we'll, like I say, we may decide we need to buy 5 school buses a year. Well, that's obviously gonna happen every year over different years, but.
I guess my point is now I'm understanding that one of those buses could be out of child nutrition and 4 of them could be out of general fund and 2 of them could be out of this fund. Will that continue to happen in a cycle?
Yes, but we can't buy buses out of child nutrition, but I get what you're saying, yes.
Okay.
Now, we used to try to buy buses out of special education funds, but they've cut those federal funds so much that we've got to the point we really can't do that anymore. It'd be nice if we could, but.
All right, vehicles for maintenance and operations department.
So you have a slate of vehicles there that you see are for various purposes. A couple of Ford F-350s, utility trucks. Those come outfitted with the toolboxes and the carriage racks over the top. A couple of 3 cargo vans, and then a box truck, an F-150 and an F-250, all for various purposes that maintenance has identified as needing to bolster up their fleet to get it to where it's up to par.
All right, replacement of buses for transportation department.
Yeah, and now you may remember, we have already purchased 2 buses this year, and this request right here will add an additional 3 buses, so that'll be 5 total for this year. And surprisingly so, buses have been delivered a lot more quickly than we've experienced anywhere from 18 to 24 months in taking delivery on buses. Well, they've caught up, the production has caught up, so we can actually get buses fairly quickly now, a lot more so than experienced in the recent past.
All right, does anybody have any questions on any of the vehicle purchases?
And let me say one more thing. You'll note on these, and going back a couple of items, the McKinney-Vento vehicles would be coming out of ESSER 3 funds. I don't know if Gary said that or not. The maintenance vehicles and the buses, we're requesting those to come out of the locally defined capital improvement fund. Number one, that won't hit our general fund budget, but it also puts the expenditures coming out of a fund that we just recently reimbursed, so that we should have around 18 million in there. So we're going to always try to maintain that $10 million cushion. But it also, because of what Gary just said, trying to get these in and a rolling budget every year, we don't have to worry about that fiscal year running out and having to redo and do all this. It just lets them pay out of a fund that will be an ongoing fund year in and year out. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and the golf carts would come out of the locally defined safety and security fund. So.
Right.
All right, any questions on any of the purchases? Okay, renewal of RFP 22-27 electronic visitor management system.
Okay. Now, we brought this purchase originally to you last year to approve, and this is the renewal of that. What changed from last year to this year, it was the compliance with House Bill 3, the need to provide the silent panic alarm buttons or devices so that teachers could communicate under duress and so forth. We didn't have a solution at that point in time, and it was talked about at some point to create an app or have an app on the teacher's phone, which would be great if the teacher was always in the classroom or there was no substitute. And they discovered soon that's not a practical solution. Raptor has a component of their products that they offer to be able to put that on our phones. And so now in the classroom, regardless of who's there, they have a way to communicate. So that increases a little bit. So this is year 2, but it also adds that portion of that as well. And let me say that continues that portion. We've already added it to the classrooms, but this continues funding for that.
All right, any questions?
Gary, just curiosity's sake, we seem to do these annually every year with fractional minor increases. Is there any value, or do they offer multi-year contracts? Do we look into that? Is that of any interest to us?
These are multi-year agreements but we fund them each year. You can't fund more than 1 year out of current budget, so that's why we bring them annually. This is just to approve the payment because it's over $100,000.
All right. Okay, TK education contract. Ms. Clark?
Just want to see if you guys had any questions regarding the TK education contract.
I have a request for you, Ms. Clark. At some point when you have a meeting with our new board member, if you could do a sort of a deep dive explanation into TK and what that is. I did the best I could, but it was lacking, so.
Be happy to do that. Any
All
questions?
right, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The 2024-2025 E-Star Renewal Agreement. Were there any questions on this? 10.14, replacement of uninterrupted power supplies. Very exciting topic there. Lindsay's ready for him. Any questions on this? All right, international student travel. Looks like there were 2 trips on there. Any questions on these trips?
I still don't know why I never get asked to go.
All right, we're ready for action items. 11.01, consider approval of donations for the May regular board meeting presentation of certificates of appreciation. I'll accept a motion.
I move the board approve the May 2024 donations as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the May 2024 donations as presented. Please vote. It'll pop up. Just gotta wait on it. And that motion passes. Consider approval of update to the 2024-2025 staffing table, new units. Ms. Tuttle?
All right, tonight we're coming to you to request 1 project manager bond programs, which as you saw in the Friday update will come from bond funding, as well as 5 behavior support teachers for the CARE program that Mrs. Clark presented to you at the last meeting. And just as Mrs. Reed presented to you recently, as we continue to have needs, 1 teacher for Trinity High School in the instructional resource special ed program. Are there any questions?
Any questions on the updated staffing table? I'll accept a motion.
I move the board approve the new units as submitted.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the new units as submitted. Please vote. That motion passes. 10.03, consider approval of Chapter 21 contracts for the 2024-2025 school year.
All right, and we have our remaining contracts for you to consider approval for tonight. And these are individuals who, since our last meeting, have been able to meet requirements to earn their contracts for the next school year. Any questions?
Any questions on these new Chapter 21 contracts? I'll accept a motion.
I move that the board approve the amended Chapter 21 contract listing as presented.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. The board approve the amended Chapter 21 contract listings as presented. Please vote. And that motion passes. We're ready for open forum number 2. All right, our speaker is John Began. He'll be speaking about the CARE program feedback. You'll have 3 minutes. It'll go up on the screen. You've seen it happen before.
Sounds great. All right, thank you so much. My name is Dr. John Began. I live in Hurst. I'm a developmental cognitive neuroscientist, data scientist, and adjunct professor of psychology. I have more than 20 years of experience conducting and evaluating interventions to improve socio-emotional well-being and cognitive abilities in children and adolescents. I'm here in support of the CARE program. It looks like you guys just approved the funding for that, so that's great. It is scientifically sound, it's likely beneficial for the students, and will probably give a positive return on investment. Given the costs, I do think that the way that it's implemented could be improved. As a reminder, the costs for the first year for the pilot program are $423,000. If this is extrapolated out to 21 elementaries, if it's ultimately expanded there, that's $1.68 million per year in salaries alone. So some recommendations based on the concerns raised at the 2020 or the April 22nd meeting by some of the board members, Mr. Brown asked about evaluation and about determining whether or not this would continue and be expanded potentially to other campuses. Mr. Romero included that there need to be proper comparisons between schools, so control groups, for example. As a reminder, the pilot program as presented was focused on the 5 schools with the most behavior requests and discipline referrals. I do think that this design could be improved specifically to address 2 concerns. That is regression to the mean. Regression to the mean is a statistical thing that we see where extreme values tend to become less extreme. So if you have students that are performing at their absolute worst, if you measure them again, even with no intervention, they will tend to do better. They will be measured higher. Also, there may be a lack of generalizability. The results may not generalize to schools with fewer discipline referrals. And unfortunately, not addressing these means that the evaluation of the program next year would be at best uninformative, with too many potential confounders not to be addressed. That means the board wouldn't be able to make an informed decision, and unfortunately, it can't be remedied post hoc with statistics. And statistics, we have a saying which is garbage in, garbage out, and unfortunately, that would be the case. So there is a simple remedy, or a couple of simple remedies. The simplest thing to do would be to distribute the 5 schools throughout the district using something like a stratified random sample or something slightly more advanced like k-means clustering, wherein for each of the 5 strata or clusters, you pick one intervention school, and then the rest are your controls. Those are the ones that are used for comparison. That would give you much more information next year when you're deciding whether or not to keep the program and or to expand it to other schools. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. McGann. All right, other business. Does any board member have any item they'd like to add to a future board agenda?
Well, I don't want to really put it on the agenda, but it may be a question that Joe can answer at the beginning of the next meeting, is several people have told me that in our district, and it's been a while since I've done this, the desks at a lot of schools aren't up to par as other schools. In the past, for capital improvement, at the end of the school year, we turned in a list of what we needed at our school for capital improvement. I don't know what the process now is for new desks at each school. Do they put it on that list, or maybe the administration may need to remind those schools to put them on the list? And so that's a question. I'll give you some time to find that out, not ask you tonight and put you on the spot. Not a softball question.
All right, thank you. Anything else for a future board agenda? All right, review of the board activity chart. I don't see anything that doesn't have attendance. There's a few things that we have just one person going to, so if you think you can make any of these other items, please add your name to it. Okay. All right. Okay, the Plus Delta for Employee Banquet. Dr. Harrington.
So it is time to Plus Delta the employee banquet, and so I'm going to ask you to take out your sticky notes, and please label your pluses plus and your deltas delta. And I'm going to give you a few moments to give me those, and then I'll review them with you, and we'll give them to Ty to document. going to go through these in no particular order. And like I said, Ty will compile this for us, but just so. So we have a plus, everything great. I like that one. Oh, a pronunciation guide. So we don't have to always. Yeah, we had some people that had to say their own names. Also, see if we can have that very clearly phonetically. They write out their name, which doesn't necessarily help. So we need to see if we can help on that. Scripts need to be easier on stage.
Yeah, what I meant by that is we each had our own copy of the script, but we were kind of running up and down off stage. And it used to be on a book on there that we could just work through.
And it's one of those, we had the book, and then one year, somebody took the book.
Well,
I think it was Jeff took it because he was updating.
well, he took his book. He has his own book.
No, but I think that year there was just one. And so then everybody started getting their own, but I do think there could be a master
Yeah.
at stage.
But, you know, if you're up on stage and you're shaking people's hands and then you have to read the next thing, then you gotta run back to your table to get your script to get back up, or else you have to set it on top of the trophies or your plaques or something. And it's just, you know, having something there that we could just work through would be.
Okay. You may.
Hmm.
You know how y'all's were individually done in yellow, so you could see them?
Yeah.
Okay, there were 3 binders underneath the podium there. They wouldn't have been done that way. So it's really a preference as to what you want, so we'll make it better for you.
So in the past, I remember one year, the book that stayed up there, everybody had a different color of type.
Ooh.
So I was pink and he was blue and she was purple and.
Yeah. That's good. The other one, and this is becoming more of an issue, and I think it's with a ramp instead of stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something we need to ask.
In addition.
Ask the convention center, yeah.
But it's, ADA is 1 foot per inch, so it's gonna be a long ramp.
That is gonna be a long ramp, yeah.
It's not that high of a stage, so.
4 feet is.
But it's still,
12.
4 feet is 4 feet.
we got more math
Ramp
going
would be
here,
like 12
guys.
feet long.
Let's just work on it, one way or another.
All right, we have another plus, the old guys band. I bet the band was outstanding again, and then the food, plus. Program plus, program moved at a good pace. Great attendance, that place was packed. That was fun. Loved Jeff as the MC, very motivating. Another plus, the food was good. Event flow was good. Yeah, Hearst Convention Center has really upgraded on the food the last several years. I've noticed the difference. They're doing a good job. MC was awesome as usual. Plus, another plus, food was good. Another plus, the band was good. Better job with stage logistics. I think we had some issues last year that we handled. Master of ceremony and music, and hopefully they stay a long time. Yeah. All right.
What's the verdict on, of y'all's opinion on maybe opening the doors sooner or letting them stay outside and visit? Or it seemed like they could visit just as well inside? It seemed like they got somewhat crowded some years outside.
I think a lot of times,
This year.
yeah, a lot of times they're not ready yet. They're trying to get everything ready to let us in.
I got there right when the doors open, so I was good.
Yeah, and it wasn't too crowded out there, because we got there, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes before it opened, and it didn't get too crowded this year.
Yeah.
Some years it's been pretty crowded.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking the question.
Yeah. No.
That gives them time to take pictures with the step and repeat too.
Yeah, it does help to have, this year we had 2 step and repeats. and
That was handy.
That helped a lot, and it gave people something to do.
All right.
All right, thank you, Dr. Harrington. We do not need a second closed session, correct? All right, Then I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're adjourned.